felt her shadow before I even heard the sound. It was 2:14 a.m. I knew because I sleep lightly, especially ever since the house didn't feel entirely like mine anymore. Ever since my son married her, the woman with the sugary voice and empty eyes, I'd learned to sleep with one ear open and the other tuned to instinct. That night, my bedroom door creaked open. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I just listened. Soft steps across the carpet. A pause. Then the faintest sound. The squeak of my nightstand drawer. She really thought I was asleep. She really thought I wouldn't notice. She reached into the drawer where I kept the small velvet pouch, the one holding the keys to the old safe behind the bookcase. But the pouch was gone, and in its place, a folded note. I heard her whisper, "What the?" Then I heard the scream, short, gasping, choked. She dropped the note and ran. Before I dive in, feel free to let me know where you're watching from. And if you enjoy the story, a like and subscribe would mean a lot. Let me take you back, because this didn't start with a drawer. It started with a silence, the kind that creeps in after your own son stops seeing you as a mother and starts treating you like a wallet with a pulse. It had been building for months, ever since Daniel got married. The sweet, soft-spoken woman he brought into my home had a smile that was all teeth and timing. At first, I thought I was being too harsh, just a mother not ready to share her son, but it wasn't me, it was her. She started small. "Why don't you rest more, Ma? I'll take care of things around the house." Sounds kind, right? Until rest became, "Don't come into the kitchen anymore." Then, "Stay in your room." Then, "We don't need your help with finances." But the worst, the way she looked at me when Daniel wasn't around. That cold, calculating look like she was mentally assessing how much I was worth. And then I caught her one evening, standing just a little too long in front of the locked cabinet in the study. The one behind the old dusty books no one ever touched. The one with the safe. I said nothing. Instead, I started planning. I moved the safe keys from the velvet pouch in my drawer and replaced them with something she'd never expect. The note. And a flash drive. And on that drive, let's just say the real reason I still owned this house. Back when my husband passed, this house should have gone to Daniel. But there was one condition in the trust. He had to prove he wasn't being manipulated by someone who saw me as a burden. I never told him that. I watched. I waited. I recorded. Everything. That night, after she screamed and ran from my room, I calmly turned on the lamp, picked up the note she dropped. It said one thing. "I know what you're after. You're not ready for what's in that safe, but you've just made it very, very easy for me to act." The next morning, she acted like nothing happened. No mention of the night before, no apology, just a fake yawn and, "Did you sleep well, Ma?" I smiled and said, "Very." But she didn't know what I'd done while she was asleep. Because while she was trying to steal from me, I was busy transferring ownership of something she didn't even know I had control over. And just when she thought the game was hers, something arrived in the mail, a brown envelope, no return address. Inside, a single photo of her, holding the pouch, standing by the open drawer, time-stamped. The moment I placed the hidden camera had been perfect. And her face? Pale. Confused. Cornered. But she still didn't know what was coming next. Because the flash drive she never touched was already in the lawyer's hands. And what he was about to do with it would destroy the little power she thought she had. The morning sun was just starting to pour through the kitchen window when she walked in, dressed like innocence, pretending nothing happened. She poured herself a glass of orange juice like she hadn't just tried to rob me while I slept. I sat at the breakfast table, calm, silent, watching her. Daniel came down the stairs a few minutes later, looking half awake, his tie crooked and his eyes bloodshot. Probably another sleepless night trying to meet deadlines and please a boss who never cared. But he didn't realize the real danger was standing in the kitchen with him, making his toast, smiling sweetly. "Morning, Ma," he said, distracted, scrolling through his phone. I nodded. "Morning, dear." She glanced at me once, quick, nervous, but not enough to give her away. Yet. I let the silence sit between us like a loaded gun on the table. I didn't have to say anything. Not yet. I wanted her to sweat. At exactly 9:03 a.m., the doorbell rang. I didn't flinch. I simply folded my napkin, stood up, and walked to the door. She followed, still clutching her glass, acting like it was just another morning in her perfect little life. I opened the door. It was Mr. Langston, my lawyer, a calm, stern man with a briefcase that never looked empty. She froze. I stepped aside and let him in. Daniel looked up from his phone. "Everything okay?" Langston gave a polite nod. "Apologies for the intrusion. Just a quick matter of some documents your mother wanted reviewed in person. Shouldn't take long." "Documents?" Daniel asked, glancing between us. "Just a few adjustments," I said. She stepped back slowly. I could see her trying to guess how much I knew, but her poker face was cracking. Langston opened his briefcase on the dining table, pulled out a manila folder and handed it to me. I opened it slowly, giving her time to panic in silence, and took out the first page. "Property transfer records," I said casually, holding the paper out. She blinked. "What?" I turned to Daniel. "I've decided to transfer temporary rights of this house, but not to you, sweetheart." Daniel looked confused. "What do you mean?" I looked directly at her. "It's going to a trust, effective immediately. A trust that doesn't include anyone who tries to break into my drawer at 2 a.m. Her face dropped. Langston cleared his throat. "And if there's any dispute, there's a signed digital copy of last night's incident, captured clearly on camera." Daniel stood up. "Wait, what incident?" I turned to her again, slow and calm. "You want to explain what you were looking for in my drawer last night?" I wasn't," she stammered, shaking her head. "I thought I heard something. I was checking if you were all right." Langston clicked a small remote. The living room TV turned on, static, then a still image. Her, hand in my drawer, timestamp 2:14 a.m. She gasped and took a step back. "That's taken out of context." Daniel looked stunned. "What the hell is this?" "Exactly what it looks like," I said, my voice cold. "Your wife tried to rob me. She thought I wouldn't notice. But what she didn't expect was that I'm not the old fool she thinks I am." Langston stepped in. Under Clause 14C of the Home's legal agreement, attempted theft or manipulation allows for immediate revocation of shared residency privileges. Daniel's mouth opened, but no words came out. She started to panic. "Daniel, I was just curious. I didn't mean to do anything." "Then why did you scream when you opened the drawer?" I interrupted. Dead silence. She couldn't speak. Because the note in that drawer didn't just threaten her, it exposed her. You see, the note said this: "I know you forged Daniel's signature last month to open that private account. I know where the money went, and I'm giving you one chance to leave quietly, or you'll see what's in the second envelope." Daniel turned slowly. "What? What account?" And right there, she cracked. Tears welled up. "It was for us, for our future. I didn't mean anything bad by it." Daniel turned white. I didn't need to say another word. Langston packed the papers, nodded, and whispered to me, "Envelope 2 goes out Monday if she doesn't leave." I nodded. But she still had one card to play. And I saw it in her eyes the second she realized she was trapped. She would try to twist it, flip the story, make it seem like I was the manipulative one. And I was ready. Because what she didn't know was what I'd placed in the second drawer. Not the one she opened last night. The other one. The one labelled letters. But instead of letters, there was a hidden phone. And on that phone, a full recording of the conversation she had on the back porch just 3 days ago. A call to someone named Mitch, and the words that would change everything. She's too old to even notice. Once we get the safe open, we'll be gone before Daniel figures it out. And now, I was about to play it. Right here, in front of Daniel. The room was frozen. My son stood stiff as a board, staring at his wife, the woman he'd sworn to love, protect, and share his future with, now gasping like a child caught with stolen candy. Her face had gone pale, her hands shaking as she tried to form a sentence that wouldn't dig her deeper. But the silence wasn't hers to break. I stepped toward the sideboard drawer, the one no one ever paid attention to. It looked like a clutter drawer. Old batteries, expired coupons, dusty envelopes. But tucked beneath the mess was something far more dangerous. A phone. An old Nokia I'd kept charged and hidden just in case I ever needed proof. And oh, had she given me a reason? I tapped the screen. It came alive with a blinking red recording light. Her eyes widened. "What is that?" Daniel turned sharply. "What do you mean, what is that?" She took a step back. "You can't just record people like that." I raised a brow. "You should have thought about that before planning a robbery on my back porch." Then I pressed play, and her voice filled the room. "She's half asleep most of the day. All we need is that velvet pouch. The keys are probably in there. Once we open the safe, we're gone. Mitch, I'm serious. Daniel will never know." Daniel's knees buckled. He grabbed the back of a chair like the weight of the words hit him physically. His jaw dropped open, but no sound came out. He just looked at her, eyes full of shock, pain, betrayal. Like his world was crumbling brick by brick. She lunged forward, trying to snatch the phone from my hand. "That's not what I meant. You edited that. You twisted it." I held it out of reach. "Oh, darling, you still don't realize who you're dealing with." Her voice kept playing. "He's not strong enough to stand up to her. But if we get something solid, something like her documents or bank info, we can say she's lost it, that she's unfit, and then I control the house." The room was spinning now, but only for her. I'd never seen Daniel cry as a grown man, not even at his father's funeral. But now, a single tear rolled down his cheek. He turned to her. Very quietly, he asked, "Mitch, who the hell is Mitch?" She froze. Her lips parted, then closed, then opened again. "Mitch is... It's not what you think." Daniel's voice cracked. "Did you cheat on me?" No, he's just a friend. I mean, he helps me think through stuff." I couldn't help it. I laughed. "Oh, honey, he helps you think through robbing your husband's mother and framing her for mental decline. That kind of friend." "I didn't mean it," she screamed, finally losing her fake politeness mask. "I was desperate. You've treated me like a guest since day one, like I don't belong in this family." "Because you never tried to belong," I snapped. "You tried to steal your way in." She turned to Daniel, eyes begging now. "I'm sorry. I swear. I panicked, okay? I thought if we had more money we could move out. I didn't want to live here forever. I wanted us to have our own life." Daniel sat down, slowly, quietly. "I believed everything you told me," he whispered. "Every lie. Every time you said Mum was imagining things, that she was paranoid. I defended you." She knelt beside him. "Please, we can fix this." He shook his head. "You recorded yourself." Then suddenly he looked up at me. "Mum," he said, "I'm so sorry. I should have listened. I should have paid attention. You warned me." I didn't want to say I told you so, but I'd be lying if I said it didn't feel justified. Still, it wasn't over. Because while I'd proven her intent, there was one more thing I hadn't shown them. The hidden camera footage from the study. Not just of her trying to open the drawer, but of what she took before. Because this wasn't her first time. This wasn't a one-time mistake. I had video of her going into my personal file cabinet 3 weeks ago, taking a photo of one specific paper, a life insurance policy. Daniel's name on it, but not hers. She never told him. She wanted control of everything, and if the safe didn't give her that, the paper trail might. I stepped over to the hallway console, opened the second drawer, and pulled out a flash drive labelled with a date, July 3rd. I held it out to Daniel. "What's that?" he asked. "Her dry run," I said, "the night you were working late." She stood up fast. "Don't play that." But this time, Daniel reached out and took the flash drive himself. He walked to the laptop, plugged it in, clicked the file, and there she was, creeping into my study, opening my cabinet, taking a photo of the life insurance binder. The room went dead silent again. Daniel stood cold now, no tears, just steel. "I want you out," he said. She blinked. "Wait, what?" "I want you out of this house," he repeated. "You lied, you plotted, you stole, and now you expect forgiveness?" "But I'm your wife." "No," he said. "You're my biggest mistake." She stood frozen, and I knew that wouldn't be the end of it. Because someone like her doesn't go quietly, and she certainly wouldn't leave without one last desperate move. Which is exactly why I'd already activated step 3. You see, before she opened that drawer, I made a quiet visit to my bank manager and signed one final document, transferring all assets into a private foundation, and the only person who could access it was about to walk into the house right now. The knock came. I opened the door, and in walked my granddaughter. The one they thought was just too young to understand anything. But oh, she knew everything. The front door creaked open, and in stepped my granddaughter Lily, 17 years old, sharp as a razor, and already smarter than most people twice her age. She was dressed in a simple black hoodie, earbuds looped around her neck, and a backpack slung over one shoulder. She looked up, saw her father, her grandmother, and her stepmother, pale, wide-eyed, standing in a puddle of consequences. "Hey, Grandma," she said calmly, walking in like it was a normal Saturday morning. "Hey, sweetheart," I smiled. "Thanks for coming." Daniel blinked in confusion. "Lily, what's going on?" His daughter smiled gently and pulled something out of her backpack. A slim folder, neatly sealed. She handed it to him. "This is what Grandma wanted me to deliver. She said you'd need it." He opened the folder slowly. Inside were 3 things: a notarized document naming Lily as the primary executor of the foundation I'd just created, a digital access key to my private account, the one now holding every cent I'd ever earned or saved, and a letter. Not to Daniel, to her, his wife. She grabbed for it, but I held up a hand. "Let him read it first." Daniel took the letter out, unfolded it and read aloud. "To the woman who thought I was too old to protect what I've built. Here's what you didn't know. Every time you smiled in my face, my granddaughter was taking notes. Every time you whispered behind doors, she was recording. Every time you thought you were 2 steps ahead, you were actually 4 steps behind. You looked at me and saw weakness, but you forgot one thing. I raised lawyers. I raised judges. I raised warriors. And the money you tried to steal, you were never meant to touch it. It was never yours. And now it's protected by someone who has a moral compass and a very good Wi-Fi connection. Leave. Quietly. Or everything Lily has, photos, audio, documents, goes to the press." Daniel's hand trembled as he finished reading. His wife was trembling even harder. Lily stepped forward, her voice cold and clear. "You remember when you told me to stay in my room because I wouldn't understand grown-up stuff?" She pulled her phone from her pocket, tapped the screen, and played a voice clip. "She's just a kid. She won't get in the way. If she sees anything, we'll say she imagined it." It was her voice, crystal clear, whispering into her phone, scheming, calculating. Daniel stepped away from his wife. "You said you never involved Lily." His wife stuttered. I didn't know she was..." She was always in her room. No, Lily said, calm but deadly. I was always watching. You treated Grandma like a burden, like some fading background character in your story. But this is her house, her story, her rules. Daniel was silent. My daughter-in-law turned to me wild-eyed. You've turned your own family against me. I tilted my head. No, dear, you did that. I just let the truth speak. She let out a furious scream, then stormed out of the room, but she didn't go upstairs to pack. She went to the garage. I heard the trunk slam, then the sharp rattle of something metallic. Lily's eyes widened. Grandma, I already knew. The storage bin. The one where I kept the backup hard drives. She was trying to destroy the evidence. Daniel chased her. What are you doing? She was already in the driveway, fumbling with the bin and her car keys. Back off, she shouted. You're all insane. You don't know what she's done behind the scenes. I stepped onto the porch, calm, steady. I warned you, I said quietly. Leave, quietly. She screamed and threw the bin to the ground, hard. The drives inside cracked on the pavement. She smirked. Oops. Daniel walked over, picked up one of the cracked drives, then looked back at me. And I smiled, because I had made 12 backup drives. That one was empty, just like her plan. She stepped back, confused now. What? Lily held up a small silver flash drive hanging from a necklace under her hoodie. Real ones here, she said, encrypted, backed up in 3 cloud drives, and 1 hard copy in the bank vault. Her stepmother looked like she'd seen a ghost. You're insane, she screamed at me. No, I said. I'm prepared. She tried to scream something else, but her voice cracked. And finally, she broke. She fell to the ground, sobbing. Not from guilt, but from defeat. Daniel didn't say a word. He just walked back inside and closed the door. We all stood in the quiet hallway. Lily leaned on the wall, exhaled, and smiled. You know, she said, you're kind of a badass. I chuckled softly. I've lived long enough to know how snakes slither, I said, and how to cut the grass. She nodded. So, what now? I turned to her. Now we let her decide. If she walks away, I said, we don't press charges. But if she tries one more thing, Lily smirked, we burn her down? I nodded, completely, with the truth. But I had a feeling she wasn't finished, because desperate people, they don't retreat quietly. And later that night, I caught her in the hallway, whispering on the phone. I have the prenup. If I can flip it, I still get half. She didn't know I was behind her, didn't know I heard everything, but she would soon, because I wasn't going to let her take anything else. And the final trap was already set. I didn't move when I heard her whispering in the hallway. I just stood in the dark, my back pressed to the wall near the linen closet, the soft hum of the night masking my breath. She thought I was asleep again, just like that night. But I was awake now, more awake than I'd been in years. I have the prenup, she hissed into the phone. If I can flip it, I still get half. His name is on the deed. That house is community property now. No matter what his mum thinks, she can't cut me out of that. Her voice was low but sharp, filled with that same venom I'd tasted when she first walked through my door, pretending to be gentle, pretending to love my son. But now, the mask was off. She was a cornered predator, teeth bared and desperate for one last bite. She ended the call and turned around, only to freeze, because I was standing right there. The hallway light flicked on behind me, casting my shadow across her face like a warning. Didn't I tell you to leave quietly? I said. She blinked, clutching her phone like a weapon. You can't stop me, she spat. He married me. The law's on my side. You think you're clever, but you can't erase that. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. I don't need to erase it, I said softly. I just needed to reveal it. She scoffed. You have no proof of anything. I don't? I smiled. I reached into my cardigan pocket and held up a small slip of paper, a bank receipt, signed, time-stamped, from earlier that afternoon. "I've officially transferred the property deed out of Daniel's name," I said. "It now belongs to a private trust, managed by a lawyer who owes me 2 decades of favours." She lunged for the paper, but I stepped back. "Try again," I said. "Give me a reason." She clenched her fists. "He won't let you do this." "He already did," I said. "He signed the papers this morning." She froze, lips twitching. That broke her, because she knew then Daniel was no longer on her side. She couldn't manipulate him, couldn't gaslight him, couldn't pretend anymore. She was alone. And now? I was done being quiet. "You came into this house thinking you could wear a smile and sharpen your knives behind my back. You thought I was too old to notice, too fragile to fight." I stepped forward. "But I built this family with my bare hands. I paid every mortgage, wrote every check, cleaned every dish, and held it all together when no one else would. You thought I'd hand it all over just because you married my son." She shook her head slowly, mouth trembling. "You don't understand," she whispered. "I came from nothing." "So did I," I snapped. "The difference is I didn't lie to get here." She opened her mouth again, maybe to plead, maybe to scream. But before she could speak, Daniel's voice rang out from the stairs. "Mom." We both turned. He stood halfway down, holding Lily's tablet in one hand, the screen glowing in the dim light. "I heard everything," he said. "All of it." She took a shaky step forward. "Daniel, please." He held up a hand. "I don't want to hear it." "But we're married." He shook his head. "Not for much longer." Her eyes darted between us. "You're making a mistake. She's turning you against me." "No," Daniel said quietly. "You did that all by yourself." And with that, he walked past her, down the stairs, and into the living room. She didn't follow, because she knew it was over. But she still had one card left, and she played it as soon as the sun rose. By 10 a.m. the next morning, there was a knock at the door. I opened it to find 2 officers on the porch. "Ma'am," one said politely. "We're here following up on a domestic disturbance report and a property dispute." I sighed. "Let me guess. She said we threatened her." "She's claiming an unlawful transfer of marital property," the officer said. "We're not here to make arrests, just gathering information." I nodded. "Come in." Daniel was already waiting in the dining room with Langston, my lawyer. We handed over every document, the recordings, the signatures, the trust deeds, the prenup, and even the police report I'd quietly filed 2 weeks ago when I first suspected she was snooping through my things. It was dated, verified, and it included photos of her rummaging through my study. The officers read everything, then exchanged a glance. The taller one closed his notebook. "Thank you for your time, ma'am. From what we're seeing, it appears this was a legal move. We'll note that." "Appreciated," I said. They left. And less than an hour later, she was gone. Didn't even pack her things, she just drove off. Fast, like she was running from the smoke of her own fire. Daniel didn't say much that day. Just sat in the kitchen, staring at his coffee like it held answers he'd never thought to ask. "Did you love her?" I asked gently. He didn't look up. "I loved who I thought she was." I nodded. "That's the worst kind of grief." Lily came in then, earbuds hanging, phone buzzing with group texts from school. She saw us sitting there, quiet and heavy. So she walked over and hugged me. Tight. "Grandma," she whispered, "you were right." I smiled, but it was bittersweet, because even though I'd won, it still hurt. It hurt to see my son broken, to know he'd trusted someone who saw him as a stepping stone. It hurt to feel the cold echo of betrayal in my home, a home I'd built with love, now stained by lies. But it was also cleansing, because now, the lies were gone. The thief was gone. And for the first time in a long time, the house felt like mine again. 1 week later, I sat in my garden, coffee in one hand, a book in the other, when I got a call from Langston. She tried to challenge the trust, he said, filed a claim for spousal rights to the property. I laughed softly. Let me guess. It didn't work. Denied in 10 minutes, he chuckled. Judge read the evidence, said it was the most thorough legal trap she'd ever seen. I sipped my coffee. Well, I said, that's what happens when you mistake silence for weakness. Later that month, I found something in the mail. No return address, no stamp, just a small, crumpled envelope tucked under my doormat. Inside, a Polaroid photo, her standing at a motel window, alone, no note, no threat, just a picture, like a ghost reaching out from the edge of the past. I stared at it for a long time, then walked to the fire pit out back, tossed it in, watched it curl and burn, and finally, let it go. Daniel moved out 3 months later. He bought a small apartment near his office. Lily stayed with me, said she preferred the garden, the quiet, the safety. Sometimes I saw him on weekends. Sometimes he sat in the old rocking chair on the porch asking how I knew. How did you see her for what she was? He asked one day. I looked at him and said, because she looked at me the same way the world used to, like I didn't matter. And I promised myself long ago that the next person who did that, I'd make sure they'd never forget what they saw in that drawer. He nodded, didn't ask any more questions. He didn't need to, because now, he finally saw it too. The trap she fell into wasn't built overnight. It was built with watching, waiting, knowing, and most of all, never underestimating myself again.